guys, it's been a while. So, if you don't know who I am, my name's Cami Davis. I am a Kratom advocate and consumer for 5.5 years. In January, it'll be 6 years, if you can believe that. Gosh, wow, that kind of blows my mind. I mean, time goes by so fast. It goes by slow, but then it goes by fast, if you know what I mean. Being a mom, you surely know what I mean. I think that's kind of like what makes us feel like we're getting older quicker is when we have kids and we watch them grow. And so it's like, oh gosh, they're getting older. So then you think about your age. But I wanted to get on here because it's been a while, and I want to talk about Kratom and how good it's been to me. Consuming Kratom or any other kind of substance takes responsibility, like anything else in life. Same with eating your favorite junk food. We want to eat it within reason. We don't want to overeat something. If you eat too much junk food, you get a stomach ache. Same thing with Kratom. If you take too much, you can get nausea. You can even vomit. However, that is the safety feature that is built in to Kratom, because unlike with full opioid agonists, if you take too much, it can cause respiratory depression and you can overdose. Unlike with the partial agonists such as Kratom, that doesn't happen. It's the key word here is partial agonist. Partial meaning that Kratom only attaches partially to the mood receptors in the brain, and the result of that is that it doesn't cause respiratory depression, and you can't overdose on it like that, like a full opioid agonist. So that's what we mean when we say Kratom isn't harmfully addictive. It's not harmfully addictive because it's not deadly addicting. It's not deadly addictive, meaning it doesn't cause respiratory depression, it doesn't cause overdose. So, that is science. That is Anti-Kratom, they love to say, oh, science. What kind of science do you have? Well, we have the chemical makeup of Kratom. You can't argue the fact that Kratom is a partial agonist. You can't argue that. You can't argue the chemical makeup of something. And that is why Kratom is safer than a full opioid agonist, or safer than Matt. Hey, I'm not knocking Matt, but I'm here for the truth. I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. And that goes to any pro-Kratom people who love to say, oh, well, advocates don't state the facts. They lie. They say that Kratom isn't addictive. None of us are saying it's not addictive. None of us, we're not lying to anyone. We're not hiding the truth from you. We always say the truth, and that it's not deadly. It's not harmfully addictive in the sense that it's not deathly addictive. We're not lying to you. That's not a lie. There are no toxicology reports that have proven Kratom alone to cause a death or overdose. It's always polysubstance. And Anti-Kratom, I challenge you, put me in my place. I'm tired of doing this. I'm tired of hearing you guys say, Kratom killed my son. Kratom and it was he had no other substances in his system. Okay, well then prove it. Then I don't understand why they won't show a toxicology screening, but only the cause of death. That doesn't tell us anything. That doesn't show the screening of the substances in that person's body. So that doesn't add up. That's only like a piece of the puzzle. That's not, you're only giving us a tiny corner a tiny piece to the entire picture there. We're not seeing the entire picture. So you can't expect the pro-kratom community to accept your death claim. And, we would more than likely, we absolutely, we would totally say, you know what, if you showed us the toxicology screening and it shows kratom alone, then we can't argue that. We can't argue with you because you've given us facts and evidence. However, to date, we still have no facts, no evidence. Nobody from Anti-Kratom, anyone who is presenting with a death claim, none of them have showed the toxicology report, the screening. So, the proof is in the pudding. Again, but kratom has saved my life, and it's turned my life around. Before I found kratom, I was so miserable. I was thankful to receive some pain medication. However, it didn't make me, it didn't completely relieve my pain. It didn't give me the pain control like I have now with kratom. Kratom is great. I'm not knocking opioids. I still take them sometimes, and sometimes that's how I take my breaks. And and that's great. I don't want to become completely dependent on one or the other. So, I take breaks. I alternate. So that's important to give your body a break. It's very important. And yeah, kratom is keep your dose low. That's how you succeed at taking kratom long term. Keep your doses low. Change vendors, change strains. Rotate between 3 or 4 vendors. That's always good. Different strains. So you keep your body not used to the same thing. That's the key when you're taking anything long term. With habits, same thing. Human beings are very habitual creatures. We like our habits. We get into the routine of things, and the longer you have a habit, the harder it is to break. And it really has nothing to do with the substance or the behavior or whatever. It's just the way that we are wired. It's how we were created. But what the great thing about kratom is that it doesn't cause fatigue like some other pain relievers. It can cause a lot of drowsiness, and let's face it, how are you going to function? I wasn't able to function well. If I can't, like marijuana, that's great. That helps a lot of people, and I'm very happy, and I'm happy it's becoming legal everywhere. But I can't use marijuana. I can't use marijuana for my pain relief because it just puts me to sleep. And if it doesn't put me to sleep, then it makes me really, really drowsy, and I can't function. It impairs me, and I don't care if people don't like this. It's the truth. Marijuana intoxicates you, or it impairs you. It gets you stoned. And I know there are ways to take it, sativa, and there's ways where, and too, if you build a tolerance, you probably can smoke some and not actually get impaired. I get it. And that's great. That's wonderful. If you found the way to do that, that's great. I know people who do it. That's wonderful. And but not everyone's chemistry is the same. So that's why I'm thankful for kratom, and I found what's right for me. And that's why we need options too, because all Americans aren't all the same. We have different chemistries. We need different doses. We need it's not like a cookie cutter situation here. We're all different. We're, some of us are big, some of us are small. We come in all different shapes and sizes, and therefore, we need options. We need everything. We don't need anything banned. And kratom isn't killing people. You can try and argue that, but you don't have any facts. You don't show any evidence. And we do, the kratom community, we do have facts. We have the science. We have the 8-factor analysis, the chemical makeup of kratom. And kratom, and the chemical makeup of kratom is that it's a partial agonist derived from a coffee tree plant. It is not derived from any poppy tree. and it is a partial agonist. So, doctors need to admit that fact. The facts are that it only attaches partially to the receptors, and that is a huge safety feature. And so, you can't demonize kratom and not admit to the fact that it's only a partial agonist, and it's not derived from a poppy plant. Therefore, it's not an opioid. It's not an opioid. It's not an opioid like morphine. No way is it. No. So that's my story, and that's the science on kratom. And it's not an opinion. It's not my opinion. It's scientific fact. And kratom has helped me so much. I went back to school. I'm thinking about getting my RN. That was a dream of mine. My whole life, I've wanted to be a nurse. Since I was 7 years old, I wanted to be a nurse. I mean, it is my calling. It's truly my calling. And so I have my licensure with the State Board of Vocational Nurses. But my dream was always to be an RN, and I want to get my BSN. So that's my goal. But without kratom, I wouldn't be doing this. So kratom has really helped me to turn my life around. And so just if you are interested in kratom, if you're interested in learning more about it, find me. I'm everywhere on all social media platforms. I'm always advocating. I'm on Facebook. I have a group. Anyways, I'm on Facebook, so you can message me. I have a blog, southeastbeautiful.com. It's an educational blog, and I write about kratom, the good, the bad, everything. I mean, I'm not saying kratom is perfect. There are people who are gonna think, well, if it's kind of like an opioid or something, maybe I can get euphoria, maybe I can get high from it. Well, those are the people who run into trouble with kratom. And the trouble that you can run into kratom is that you're looking for a high and you can't find a high. And so people start taking more. People think, okay, well, I'll just take a ton of it and then maybe I'll feel high from it. But see, it doesn't happen. So all they do is they end up having a stomach ache, because they're taking gobs of it, which, that's not kratom's fault. I mean, that would be like going, you go into any nutrition shop and you buy something. Well, come on now. I mean, you got to use your head. You're an adult. If you take 100 pills or 100 capsules of something, you're probably not going to feel that great. Same thing with kratom. Why would it be any different with kratom? So, that doesn't mean we need to ban all substances. That would be ridiculous. I mean, you can overdose and die from drinking too much water. I worked in Napa State Hospital. We dedicated a whole wing to patients who had a condition known as polydipsia, and they were addicted to water. And we called it the water wing. It was the West Wing on A10 in Napa State Hospital, and it was wild. I mean, I monitored these patients when they took a drink from a fountain, when they showered. I mean, we had to watch them because, they would down so much water that, they overdosed, and they had overdosed many times and almost died before they were admitted to Napa State Hospital. So this is a real thing. It's not funny. It's not something that's pretend. We can't ban water. We're not going to ban water. So my point is, we're not going to ban kratom because some people want to overtake it. They're not dying. They didn't die. No, they didn't. And that's why we're even having this conversation, because kratom is safe. Kratom is safe. And yeah, you can't demonize kratom because you overtook it and now you don't feel well. That's stupid. That is freaking ridiculous. And that's what we're dealing with from the FDA, is they try to spin it. They take advantage of that. They try to spin it and make people think, it's worse. They try and make people think it's worse than it actually is, when it's not. And that's, we're constantly fighting the lies and the scrutiny. And, the bottom line is they don't want kratom. They don't want kratom to exist legally because it's helping people and they are not profiting. from it. Big Pharma and the FDA are not profiting from it. So they like to demonize it. And now they got these anti-kratom people who are like, you know, they're little soldiers, and, you know, they're carrying all that out. And then they just exploit their kids who did die, which is so sad. And, you know, now we got these ambulance chasing lawyers, and they're scum of the earth, and now they're trying to, you know, like, publicize kratom death claims. If you have a death claim, you know, I can get you millions of dollars. It's really sick. It's so sad. Again, they still don't have any proof, but, you know, they have the FDA to back them and lawyers now, and, you know, all they see is money. They don't care about the truth. They don't care about your health. They don't care about Americans' livelihoods and well-being. You know, there are a lot of people who take kratom. There are firefighters, nurses. I know a firefighter who takes it. Nurses, I mean, heck, I'm going to be a nurse. I'm taking it. You know, you'd be surprised. It's sad that we can't even admit to it, and people are afraid to fight for it because they're afraid that, you know, they're going to be scrutinized and stigmatized, which I don't blame them. You know, they're afraid they're going to lose their jobs. I don't blame them one bit. It's so sad. But the reality is that America is going to be running on kratom. America is running on kratom. You know, America runs on Dunkin' and kratom. Hey, you know, coffee is addictive too. So, you know, don't say, oh, you can't compare kratom to coffee. You know, have you ever tried to quit kratom? Yeah, actually, I take breaks all the time. Have you ever tried to quit coffee? Have you tried to quit coffee? Exactly. I didn't think so. What would happen if you quit coffee? It would be so hard, and you would have a horrible day. Like, you could probably barely get through your day. So, you know, I mean, that's not exactly a positive. But no, it's not killing you. Same as kratom. It's not killing you. You know, you didn't die. So, you know, we have to keep fighting, and just, we have to keep telling our stories. And again, like I said, you know, like, there are so many people who take kratom and they benefit from it. And that is the good that outweighs the bad, any kind of negatives. You know, not everyone can take kratom. Maybe it didn't agree with you. It doesn't mean that, you know, the world revolves around you and now we should ban it because your child, you know, took it and it didn't agree with them. And, you know, they had other substances in their body and, you know, they died. They had pre-existing conditions. They, you know, they were addicts. They were out of hand. Their behavior was out of control. You know, again though, you know, Tylenol, like, we have alcohol, we have Tylenol, you know, which is far more they're like, alcohol kills so many people every day. Kratom is not killing people every day. You know, kratom isn't killing thousands of people. It's not killing anyone. You know, there are some kratom related deaths, but again, you know, those people were either trying to kill themselves, like got shot, you know, they had like heart conditions, you know, things that were relevant. And so it wasn't a death from kratom alone. So please do your research and, you know, reach out to me if you have questions. And oh, this is so important. If you want to try kratom, don't go to the smoke shop. I'm not saying that stuff is bad. It's just, you know, if you want to start kratom, start with powdered kratom. And really the only way to get like the best, highest quality of kratom powder is through vendors online. And make sure it's GMP certified. You can go to the AKA's website, go to either protectkratom.org or, you know, AmericanKratomAssociation.com. There's a whole list of fantastic vendors. You know, I have my own that I go to, the ones off the AKA website, of course. And, you know, there's others too that are GMP certified. You know, go that route before. Don't go exactly, you know, extracts they're good and they have their place. Like, they help me, like, on certain days, like when, like, I volunteer, for Kaiser, you know, and I'm a volunteer. I do different things. I work, and, you know, when you're working or doing certain things, sometimes you need something, you know, in an easier form. And so You know, sometimes, you know, or if you're like going on vacation or a trip or something, I don't know, whatever, you know, your situation is, sometimes it's easier at times, or on really high pain days, extracts have their place. However, you know, they are stronger, and sometimes it's easier to overtake it, because the way it's like in a little bottle, so it's kind of hard to get the proper dose. And so it's easy by mistake to kind of overtake it or undertake it. And so that's why it's just better, like if you're starting out, to start, you know, with powder. Powder, it's harder, it takes more work, it's more difficult to raise your tolerance with powder. Powder is weaker. So it's just better that way, because I know a lot of people, they get the extracts and then they overtake it, and then they build tolerance to it, not kind of understanding what happened, and then before you know it, it's not working well, and then they have to take more, and then it's, you know, that's not the way to go. That's not the way to go with anything you're taking. You don't want to, all of a sudden, you don't want to be overtaking something or having to take more and more. You know, that's building a tolerance. That's no good. And that doesn't have to happen with Kratom at all. I've been taking Kratom for 5.5 years, and I still take the same exact dose that I took when I first started a Kratom. And, you know, and it still works the exact same way. It's still effective. And, you know, that's 5.5 years later. So don't believe the lies that anti-Kratom people are spewing, because they're not true. They're not true. Okay, I love you guys, and keep fighting. Bye.